Luttrell, former bartender, now head of a company that's kind of like Salesforce for restaurants. So currently we're advising clients on how to convert third-party delivery apps into customer relationships. So if you're going to pay 30% for their business, you might as well know their name. So today I'm joined by David Helbraun. He's the head of Helbraun Levey, serving New York hospitality groups with leases, franchises, licensing, HR, all kinds of stuff. I get their newsletters. They're really amazing. Head to helbraunlevey.com to get on their newsletter. Mr. Helbraun, thank you so much for coming on. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks, Jason. Let's get into it.
Did I get all that right?
You got it all right. Yeah, we're a hospitality law firm. We do it all. We represent the hospitality industry, everybody from mom and pops to the big boys and girls, the big groups, hotels and restaurateurs, and we have the largest fully focused niche hospitality law firm in the country.
What does that mean? About 30, 40 lawyers? What does
No,
that
we
mean?
have about 20 lawyers. We have about 40 people. But all we do is restaurants all day long. There is no other business that we represent. A couple of retail stragglers here and there, but it's restaurants and bars all day.
What's the most common problem that crosses your desk?
Um, a variety of things cross our desks. We have different sections of the firm. These days, we have a lot of wage and hour cases, people not paying people the right way. There's a little mistake on, sometimes just on a paycheck can cause problems. But mostly we deal with people who are in exciting places in their career, meaning that they're growing their group and they're starting a hospitality group. We take a lot of first timers and mom and pops and we bring them along until they become a hospitality group, meaning 2, 3, 5 locations, maybe a CPG product, etc. So that's the kind of stuff that gets me very excited.
Wage and hour is so complicated. And the stakes are so high. What would you advise? How do you identify the problem and how do you solve it?
Just do an audit. It's a good time of year to do it. It's the beginning of the year. Have an attorney go through your payroll practices. They will take all of your paychecks, all of your pay stubs. They'll make sure you are paying people correctly, that you're using the right forms. Have them review your handbook, make sure that your policies are correct. And then once you do all that and you make the changes that you need to make, you can sleep at night and not have to worry about these crazy lawsuits.
And the lawsuits are crazy. And are they always legitimate?
Sometimes they are, sometimes there's not. We hear these crazy stories of like these band of of front of house workers who go from restaurant to restaurant to find the problems and then walk right, they quit, they walk into a plaintiff's lawyer's office and they sue. And they've done it 1, 2, 5 times. And if you make one mistake, you lose. So, these guys are and ladies are getting big payouts. It's a major shakedown. So it's insane. Sometimes these lawsuits, just from paying somebody the wrong way, putting the wrong name on a pay stub, can be hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Honestly, I forgot to mention this, but I thought you were going to lead. I had a bet with myself that you were going to lead with the classic lawyer line, like this does not constitute legal advice. Is this legal advice?
Never legal advice. No, no. This is two guys shooting the shit.
All right, so that's crazy. So there's a band of people rolling around New York City that work together in concert to become with the intention of becoming plaintiffs. That sounds terrifying.
I don't know if they're still in action. They were at one point, but the word gets around. It's a small industry. So if you're a busboy or you're a waiter and you don't like your owner and you get fired, you walk over to a plaintiff's office, you ask your friend, you're like, hey, what happened when you got fired? They're like, oh, I went to this scumbag lawyer. And they go to these lawyers and they look for your pay stub and they find one thing wrong and they file a lawsuit. And then you're in it.
I had another guest on a while back, Leaf Huckman, who had this product called checkmychecks.com. It's a free service where people it actually checks their stuff, but it says very clearly that this is just, this isn't advice. Okay. So that's really terrifying. That kind of threw a curveball at me because I've never even heard of anything. I've heard like the ADA stuff where people they look for the ramp and they look for like the customers. They look at your website and they say, are the alt tags there because you're discriminating against me because it doesn't say this? Are you seeing that kind of stuff as well? That seems like much lower touch. like doing like scroll like trolling people on the internet seems like much lower touch than actually getting a job at a place with your
Yeah, no,
friends.
that's scumbag number two. Like, it's unbelievable. These lawyers walk the streets, sometimes with or without somebody in a wheelchair. And let me say, of course, every place should be ADA compliant if possible. We're all about that. But sometimes it's impossible to do. We're in New York City. You can't have a ramp on every single place. So they walk down the street and they just say, don't have a ramp, don't have a ramp, don't have a ramp. They send a lawsuit and 10,000 bucks. That's the going rate, between five and $10,000 to settle. The problem with the law, the way that it is now, is that there's no chance to cure the problem. It's not like they send you a notice and say, "Hey, my client couldn't get in. Can you please add a ramp, or can you please add an ADA accessible bathroom?" They don't say that. They sue you. They don't really care if you fix it or not. They're getting a $10,000 settlement for their client. They're taking a third. They move on to the next person. You do 20 of those a week, you're in good shape.
And okay, so there's no okay. Wow. So the court wouldn't say, did
No,
you ask them if they could pull out a ramp?
no. Can you believe it? The
Is that
court,
what they call it? Is that tort? Is that what they refer to when they're talking about tort reform?
no, that's
Or is
not
that
really
something different?
court reform. It's something else. But it's with both of these things, with pay, wage and hour cases, with ADA cases, if they just gave an operator a chance to fix the problem, we'd be in such better shape. But they do not give you that chance. You get sued, you have to pay. That's the end.
Do you do an initial service where you like clients are like, I don't know if I'm covered or not. I don't know where my exposure is, and then you like physically walk through their space and say like, here's what we need to fix like right away.
We don't, but when you open up a place, we tell you to get a good architect who understands ADA and to have them go through it with you and tell you what you need to do.
What about second generation spaces?
Second gen are harder. Sometimes you have to roll the dice because the landlord's not going to pay for it, or you just can't do it. So you take a place that doesn't have an ADA bathroom or doesn't have a ramp, and you want to open up in that spot, and there's nothing you can do, and then you get sued and you pay, and hopefully you don't get sued again.
I've made a terrible joke over the years, being like, hey, you want a piece of $50,000 advice? Put your money that you're going to put into a restaurant the index into an index fund. Um, but that's people, they do it anyways. They open up a restaurant because they have a dream, and some people are successful, some people are not. It's a ruthless business. At what point of the process of opening up a bar do they call you?
People call us when they're thinking about doing it. We're the first stop. Hey, I have an idea. I have a business plan. How can you help me? So we help them raise the money. That's usually step number
Oh,
one, right? You got to raise, and it's also our, we call it a sanity check. Someone comes in and says, "Yeah, I want to open up a bar, and I want it to be, 1,500 square feet on the Lower East Side." And we say, "Okay, well, what time do you want to stay open till?" And they say 4 o'clock. Instant no. And then we ask them how much they think it's gonna cost, and they say $150,000. That's no number two. And so if they fail the sanity check, we don't take them as a client. We tell them to go back, figure out your business plan. We give them some resources and come back when they figure it out. But once they figure it out, and let's just say they know they have to raise $500,000, that's when we start helping them put together investor documents. And that starts with the business plan and what we call an investor term sheet. So you go to your friends, your family, people who know you, show them your business plan. They're excited about it. They say, "I'm in, what's the deal?" You hand them this thing called an investor term sheet. It says for 30% of the business, you can give us $500,000, whatever the number is. And then we get rolling that way. Once they start getting the money in and they start feeling confident that the money is going to be there, then they start looking at spaces. And once they start looking at spaces, we also get involved there with negotiating terms on a lease. That's stage number two. As we're doing a lease negotiation, we're also talking about liquor licensing and what kind of hours they can get. There's different community boards in New York City, as you know, 1, 2, and 3, very difficult. The reason I use that example of Lower East Side 4 a.m. is because it's not a thing anymore. Unless you buy one, the community board will never say yes. And although they don't have the final answer, the state liquor authority will listen to them.
Yeah, I remember CB2 being particularly difficult. I
Yeah.
remember explaining the fact that when I was opening up a bar 100 years ago, that we were going to play analog records on a spinning turntable, and they're like, "Oh, you have DJs all night?" No,
Right. Yeah.
and I was like, "There's a subtle distinction. They're not moving them back and forth. They're just putting the needle on it once," and they didn't really get that. So that was kind of fascinating. All right, so I was a bartender for 100 years too, and I remember getting a bunch of handbooks, and I never read any of them. So what would you how would you recommend the bar owners approach delivering and training handbooks?
You have to have a handbook. I mean, it's your employee Bible. Employees need to understand the rules of your particular company. So go to a lawyer, an employment lawyer. We have one. They'll write you a handbook. They'll ask you a bunch of questions about how you want to run your business. It'll be in the handbook. You distribute it to your employees. Here's how it works. Here's how you get paid. Here are your, here's the scheduling process, et cetera, et cetera. We'll do some training also to some of the management, which is required in New York. And then you're off and running. But it's important to have it because things do pop up in this world. And it's nice to be able to refer back to a really comprehensive handbook.
Yeah, it's always seemed kind of like a CYA thing to me, where it's like they sign, like I would get a job and I would sign the document saying that I received it, making me responsible for understanding the information in it. But it was never part of a training. It was never part of onboarding. It was never, it was just like, here's your thing. Here's the rules. Can you work tonight?
Things have changed a little bit, Jason. I was a bartender. I had my first bartending job back in 1985. And I don't even think a handbook was invented back then. It was like, come to work, work 18 hours, and don't complain, and here's some cash, and we'll get drunk after your shift. Things have
Hmm.
changed. People read the books now, and the younger generation cares a lot about how they're treated and what the rules are.
That's really interesting to hear you say that because I've heard exactly the opposite about the new generation of front of house hospitality workers. Like it's not like particularly apathetic, but it's like not as ambitious as I was when I was coming up. I was like I'm going to be at the top level of tending bar, and you know at the time I was. Now I'm just like now I'm like a toddler in that game. But there was no particular ambition. So you're seeing people that are like really actively engaged in being hospitality workers, or does that even cross your desk?
I'm seeing them be engaged in what their rights are. I'm not saying that they're the most ambitious people in the world, meaning that they want to strive to be at the top of their field. But when they do get a job, they want to know what their rights are. So they're much more
Hmm.
educated in that way, for sure.
Very interesting. Are you seeing any interesting applications of AI with your clients?
I'm seeing it in a couple of different ways. A lot of people ask me about mom and pops and can mom and pops survive? And if you read any of the trade journals or the rags that we read, you'll see all these chefs and restaurant owners writing about how it's impossible, how mom and pops are a dying breed. But there are ways to compete, and AI is one of them. So we're seeing people using AI to compete with the big hospitality groups who have all of these kind of ancillary professionals on board, like PR companies, like um, accountants and bookkeepers. And they're using AI to scrub. First of all, they're using AI for financial health. They're using AI to scrub their P&Ls to see where they're lacking, to see where they can gain a few points of profit, to see if their food costs in some way can be improved and their labor costs can be improved. So that's a huge way to use AI. They're also using it for PR. They're figuring out ways to maximize um, Instagram, TikTok, and other things by using AI. They're using it to cultivate loyalty amongst the customers. They're putting in their customer databases They're coming out with events or products or discounts for their customers. So there's all these kinds of ways to use it these days that allows them to be more sophisticated, the mom and pops that is, and allows them to compete with the bigger hospitality groups who have all the resources in the world to put into this stuff.
Hmm. That's, I mean, this your lips to God's ears. Like this is what I sing to my clients. I'm like, listen, this is not here to replace anybody's job. This is here to make you 10 times more effective.
Mm-hmm.
Just I mean, just even recently, like there's been such crazy. It moves so fast, but like I was recently playing with Claude Chrome browser, which is like the most people are like, I don't know where to take my kid this weekend, and they ask ChatGPT, and it spits out some information of varying degrees of quality. But now the next frontier is getting AI to like interact with other AI and be a force multiplier in your time and effort. And then what I've recently found is that it can literally start moving your mouse for you. And so like if you say like this is the website that I want, let's say it's Gmail, for instance, it's like I would like you to draft a response to everything in here every 3 hours, and it'll do it. And if you like the responses, you can have it start sending for you. But I mean, it's like so crazy unlimited. I'm curious what kind of products people use, but I don't think we have time to get into that. But as a PR angle, another thing I did that might be actionable for people to do is to have like for instance a Claude Chrome browser go through all your Instagram posts for the last year and tell you what was actually effective, what people actually cared about. That's something that you would have had to pay somebody a year ago to analyze for you, but it'll tell you exactly what to say.
It's incredible.
It's incredible. Okay, so we talked about interpretations, we talked about HR. I'm curious about your do you have a concentration of clients in New York?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on Mamdani's administration?
My thoughts are, let's give the guy a chance. I hope he, you know, he from what we understand about the mayor-elect is that he's a foodie. Uh, that's a term that I don't like to use, but he's used, so sorry that I used
Yeah.
it. But that's fine. Like he goes to restaurants. He's a young guy. Hopefully he understands the industry a little bit. I hope he understands when he says tax the rich that that's okay, but restaurant owners are not the rich, and we need some help. The industry in New York City needs help. We need help with outdoor dining. That should be all year round. Having to take down outdoor dining sheds in November and put them up in April is absolute insanity. We need help with Con Ed. You call Con Ed 600 times, maybe they come out in 3 months. And so you're sitting there paying rent, trying to open up a place, waiting for Con Ed. He has the ability to kind of move these things along. There's a lot of stuff he can be doing for us to make New York more hospitable to the hospitality industry. And so I hope he listens to the industry. I hope he's out there talking to owners. And I'm just hopeful, but we'll see.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he picked up Andrew Ridgie to come. Like, this isn't a gossip show, but it's like, but he did pick up Andrew Ridgie to come out there and help him with at least the transition, hopefully a more permanent position for the nightlife, for the nightlife scene in the office of the nightlife. But yeah, it's brutal. It's brutal out there. I'm not as optimistic as you are, quite frankly, because I don't think 4 years is enough time to keep the promises that he's making. But that being said, you will never find a more resilient industry because it seems to shift around. I mean, the stats that I hear and repeat are like 67% fail rate within a year, 80% over 5 years. Is that accurate in your opinion?
I've never, maybe it's just our clients, maybe because we set them up the right way, but I've never seen a number near 67% in the first year. Our clients are all open after 1 year. Maybe within 5 years, 20% are out of business, but most people make it at least 5 years. When you start getting to
That's a
10,
really
you start seeing
that's a
those.
really that's an incredibly validating point to like hiring you guys on much earlier in the stage. Do a lot of people come to you with emergencies, like reactive situations?
That's the bane of all lawyers' existence is people come to us when it's late. when something terrible has happened that we could have helped them prevent. But yes, so we do get emergencies, but like I said, most people come to us in a very early stage of raising money. And so if they do it right and they set it up right and they're, finding that their business plan is correct and they're finding a place that's not too big and they can figure out a way to make a couple of bucks, they're going to stay in business for a while. And the idea these days is not to open up one place and retire. That's not even a thing. The idea is to open up one place, make it successful, try to get some good press, and then start to build off of that. You have to go into this industry now with a mentality of, I'm growing a restaurant group. I'm going to have a hospitality group. I'm going to start with one. I know what number two is going to be already before you open up number one. Because what happens is, and I've seen this happen a million times, is that people open up their first restaurant and it's wildly successful. Look at, I don't know, Bridges, for example, in downtown Manhattan. And then all of these hospitality hustlers come out of the woodwork and they're like, hey, I got this idea. Come do this with me. Come do that with me. And then start throwing money at these guys. And they don't know what to do. I'm not saying the Bridges guys, they know what they're doing. But somebody else. And then they end up opening up some crappy place in some crappy location and then they're toast. So having a plan and knowing what you want to do and getting in bed with the right people is the way to go. So, yes.
Let's say that you're okay. Let's talk about. Do you serve QSR brands?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So quick service restaurants like these are grab and go, like fast casual, et cetera. Like they're I'm hearing that there's no middle class in restaurants, or that it's kind of like fading away a little bit. But the things that are surviving that are doing well are quick service, like $20-$25 average order value, something like that, and then like really fine dining. So what would you say to a quick service brand that's ready to rapidly expand, that just wants to go straight to franchising, wants to go straight to real estate?
That's not a thing.
That's not a thing. Okay.
No, no. You got to open up your first one. You got
No,
to.
no. I mean, after the first and second one are like very healthy.
I would say open up three, open up four. You have to show that you can open up consistently in different places and have the same economics in each place. That's what franchisees want to see, right? I'm going to open up a Cold Stone Creamery. Okay, it's going to cost you $300,000 to open. You can expect sales of $3 million a year. You can expect a profit margin of 20%. And if they're doing that consistently, that franchise is going to sell. But if you have a franchise where one is doing 5 million a year and then you open up another one that's doing 1 and you open up a third one that's doing 3 and their numbers are all over the place, you're never going to sell them because you're not selling consistency. So open up a bunch, figure it out, be consistent, and then when you have 3 or 4 or 5 company-owned stores, then consider franchising.
Okay. Do you have any thoughts on third-party delivery systems and apps and stuff like that? Yeah, go.
Yeah, my thought is, how on earth has no one invented or discovered a way to have a third party system that does not absolutely gouge the operator? It's unbelievable how much money that a restaurant owner has to pay DoorDash or Uber or whatever. It's 30 to 40%, sometimes more. And I ask my clients, why do you do it? And they say, well, I feel like I have to for exposure to stay in the game. Do you make any money off it? No, we don't. So, what's the point? So I hate them. I hate that it has to be done. I hate that nobody's come along and partnered with restaurants for real. And someday somebody will.
Well, this is my 2026 obsession. I'm thinking a lot about the unbagging experience and how do we convert
What does
that.
that mean? What's unbagging?
Unbag. Okay, so let's say here. So you go on Grubhub, Uber Eats, DoorDash, and you pick out the thing that you want. Statistically, like 43% of people will not remember the name of the restaurant that they ordered from, and so like when they go back to the platform, they're going to look back on the platform and it's going to say, would you like this again, or would you like to try something new? And it's going to give you a bunch of different options, and they spend lots of money optimizing how the eyeball moves across the site, mostly on mobile. It's mostly on mobile. Most people decide that they're going to eat within minutes of wanting to eat, after wanting to eat. And so what the unbagging experience is when they receive the package, like they're at that point they're not your customer, right? So if it's a brand, like let's say it's burritos or burgers or whatever it is, you could have branding on the outside of the bag, but that goes in the trash within a couple minutes. And so the unbagging experience is saying like, here's a reason to give us your contact information and to join our loyalty program, which has to be absolutely frictionless. But like as in like text this number and we'll get right back to you, and you get 2 punches on your loyalty card. Nice. And so what we have is that information on like is we have a phone number now, and we can work from a phone number quite efficiently. And so like there's other things that we're doing like as far as like adding NFC tags to little tokens, we're testing a bunch of different things out. But the idea is that if you can capture that guest information from the bag, like as part of the experience, then you've kind of won the game. And so if you're pulling off a small percentage of people that were DoorDash, Grubhub seamless customers, and then having them order from you directly, you're saving literally 30%. So if you're treating third-party delivery systems as a customer acquisition tool, cool, it might actually be worth 30%. But if you're just paying them blindly to not even earn a customer, then you're just renting them, or they're just renting you. And it's I'm with you. It's absolutely horrifying that the balls these people have to like wake up and take 30% from people who've spent their life savings opening up their restaurant is crazy.
Yeah.
So that's my 2026 is that's the problem that we're solving.
I like it.
Anywho, all right. So what's next for Helbraun Levey?
Well, we just expanded to Miami this year, so we're getting more and more involved in that industry, in that world, learning a lot about it and representing a bunch of restaurants down there, which is very interesting for New York restaurants because we've seen so many brands make the move and migrate to Miami and all of South Florida from New York, and they went down there because their clients were moving down there. So they just followed their clients, and then we just followed our clients. And now you have all these New York brands who, in the slow months, now, January, February, March, are down in Miami and doing bang-up business. They're taking some of their best top-level staff with them, keeping them employed. And it's been a great idea for most of them. So Florida's a really interesting place. So that's happening. We're also getting much more involved in the hotel world. We just made a very big hire that we're going to announce in a couple of weeks. A person who was a CEO of a major hotel brand who is joining us. So we're getting involved in hotels and continuing our growth. Yeah.
That's exciting. Yeah, Miami doesn't really have seasons, do they? I mean,
they do actually. So their season is from November until May, and then their slow season starts. And a lot of people have made the mistake, New Yorkers especially, of thinking they're going to be busy all year. But from May to like October, when it's 100 degrees outside sometimes, it's very, very slow. Like very slow.
What do they do? What do people do? Where do they eat?
They're eating, the rich people go away for the summer. So the rich people go to South Florida now. They spend a lot more time in the cold weather. Then when the weather starts to heat up, they go to the Hamptons, they go to Europe, and they're not there anymore. So people are still eating, but it's locals, and locals don't necessarily want to spend $150 a head at Catch or Delilah or Harry's Steak or Milos.
Right. Is there anything else that you want to share before we wrap it up?
No, I think I'm good.
Okay, this has been really exciting talking to you. Thank you so much for sharing all the stuff about the work that you're doing with Helbraun Levey. From Leases, like the reason I called this title, I used the clickbaity title of like how to make this stuff sexy is because if you read their newsletter, it's really interesting how they frame things, and it's like very personable. Like it feels like you're getting just straight up advice from a lawyer, even though this isn't this isn't advice, of course. Thank you so much for joining us on the Hospitality Strategy Lab. If you need any help with this stuff, check the show notes. I will link to Helbraun Levey, where they can help you with all your leases, HR, paperwork, and make it sexy, maybe. All right, thank you, Mr. Helbraun. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Jay. Okay.